Thank you, everybody. Try to use this mic. Usually I like to wander around, so staying in one spot might be a little tough for me. But I'll stay up close to the mic so everyone here can hear. My name is Jim Yates. I'm with Truma. I thank everybody for allowing me to come here today and visit with you about the AquaGo system, and then we'll also talk about the new Aventa air conditioner that I'm sure some of you are interested in. So we will cover that, and this afternoon I'll be down in the pavilion to answer any questions, and I'll be there tomorrow morning also. I have to leave about 11:30 tomorrow, but I'll be here for any questions you have at that time. So we'll start off with the Truma AquaGo. Make sure I can do this right. So to start off with a little bit of backstory, because I always think it's very interesting. I joined Truma in January of this year. I've been in the RV industry for 18 years, so I kind of know some of the challenges to be out there trying to live in these coaches. But Truma's beginnings started very a while ago, back at the end of World War II. Philip Price was our founder of our company, and at that time he was a language teacher. And realized back in 1949, that was right after World War II. Living in Germany, the power grid was not reliable at that time, and he was trying to teach language at night. Power would go out, they'd have to stop. Well, he came out with a gas lantern at that time, and he started developing it for the other teachers in the building, and sometimes at night, that would be the only building lit up in the whole area. So there started to be a demand for those lanterns, and at that time, President Truman had passed the Marshall Plan, which was to help Germany reinvent itself after World War II. So through that money that the Marshall Plan provided, Mr. Price was able to start Truma. And he sent a letter to President Truman, and asked if he could use his name in the company. So that's where our name Truma comes from. We actually, in Germany, in our museum, we have both letters. The letters to President and letters back agreeing that we could use his name. So from that very beginning, he started to develop heaters for caravans, moving to larger and larger facilities. In fact, we're looking at moving to a larger one here in the next year because of demand for all the different products we have out there today. We came to the United States in 2014 with the AquaGo system that you all use today. We've been continuously bringing products to the United States. All these products have been used in Germany for several years and in Europe. The problem with getting them across here is we have to pass both UL labeling and CSA labeling to get them into the country. So that's taken time, even with our air conditioner units and everything, that has taken time just to get them switched over so they meet American standards. We're coming out with new products, and one of them is our air conditioner unit. Not only do we have a roof mount, but we also have one that mounts down in the bay. So these larger coaches, instead of having them on the roof, they can be underneath the bed or down in the bay of a motor coach. So that is one of the new products we are bringing to the market in the next 2 or 3 years. Our Truma headquarters here in the United States is in Elkhart. Our building is brand new, it's about 3 or 4 years old. There's kind of a picture of it up there. One of the things to notice up there is our website. If you up there, go to our website to look at manuals, get some YouTube videos, help with the different information like decalification of your unit. You want to go to truma.net. If you go to truma.com, that will take you to the Germany site. But if you go to truma.net, that will take you to the US site. And you can see some of the products we have. Our combi system, which is both a hot water heater and a forced air furnace, one of the only ones on the market in the United States. The AquaGo system. We also have a little meter that you can see the level of your propane tank by measuring, just running it up and down the side of your tank to see how much propane you have in the unit. Our new air conditioner unit, and then we also have a cooler refrigerator unit in several different sizes that we manufacture. So our unit, we don't call it an instant hot because we do have a hybrid of that because we do have water on the unit. We hold about 1 liter of water that we keep warm at any time that you're operating the system, but we are a continuous hot water heater. So the Truma AquaGo is a 60,000 BTU unit, but it has a microprocessor in it, so it doesn't use all its power immediately whenever you ask for hot water in the coach. So it's going to be able to vary the gas valve between 20,000 and 60,000 BTUs when it's operating. So unless you're taking a shower or your dishwasher's running or something like that, the unit's probably not running at the full BTU, so it's not using up all your propane. It's an instant hot water, so it's using our hybrid technology to provide constant hot water at 120 degrees. We're not using a mixing valve. Our mixing vessel is actually controlling the temperature of the unit. So how does the unit work? The hot water demand is turned on as long as the unit itself is turned on. When you turn on the hot water system, there's a sensor. The sensor measures the flow of fluid coming into the unit, and then that's what regulates our gas valve to operate at what different BTUs. So as cold water enters the unit, it goes through our burn chamber, or our heat exchanger. We heat the fluid up, and then it passes through, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Then it goes into our mixing vessel. So it goes in at the top of the vessel, and then it does a Venturi effect as the hot water goes toward the bottom of the vessel, and then it goes out into your RV or trailer at 115 to 120 degrees constant hot water. So up here is our AquaGo Comfort, and this is what you have in the Oliver trailers. You can see that there's an extra, let me see if this works here. You can see that there's an extra line here. And with that extra line, we can provide hot water to your faucets quicker, and we can also lower the propane usage when you're not in the trailer at the time. So basically you have the cold water coming into the bottom, going through over the gas burners through our heat exchanger and into the valve, into the mixing vessel. And then if you have it on the eco mode, it is just mixing right with this bypass line here. So you can see that it's just re-stirring this over and over and over, and keeping that temperature at 104 degrees or at 41 degrees or at 120 degrees. So this way you have hot water at your faucets when you need it. You can limit the amount of propane that's being operated at the time, so it's stirring right there at the unit. Now we do offer a unit called the Comfort Plus, and that's jumping ahead of me. This would be hooked up to your faucets, and then you would have that hot water all the way to your faucets. But you find as small as the Oliver trailer is, that the AquaGo Plus is capable of providing hot water to the faucets pretty quickly, so you don't have a lot of that water running down the drain when you're trying to operate the system. I'm going the wrong way. So to start the Truma AquaGo, you get to your switch, turn it from the off position, You either turn it to the on, or you can turn it to the eco. Either one will work. And then the light should light up in the switch as the unit is operating. Now you do have two choices here. You have the comfort and the eco. Let's see, I think I have it. Here we go. So here on this cheat sheet, the eco will keep that unit, just keep the unit warm so that it doesn't use a lot of propane when you don't have a lot of need for it. Like possibly when you're going out to the trail, you can put it in the eco mode. It will allow that temperature. So in the eco mode, it will allow that temperature to stay above 41 degrees, so that way there's no way for it to freeze. But the unit, as soon as you come in, as soon as you turn on the hot water switch, there's a sensor that sees the flow and it will activate the burner right away, so the lag time will be very limited. Or you can just leave it in the comfort mode. And in the comfort mode, it's going to keep that fluid inside the AquaGo at 104 degrees. So the recovery time is a little quicker. But if you want to save on propane fuel when you're trying to live off the grid, the eco mode's a great spot to put it. But you can leave it in the comfort mode and just leave it there. Now, the next mode would be the decalification, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But that's to get all the calcium out of your system so it doesn't block it up and it's capable of making good hot water and keeping your water pressure up. The off switch, and then if your unit is equipped with the antifreeze electric element, that would operate the electric element. We do have a cheat sheet like that. Mine didn't come in time to bring out to you. So if you'd like to email me at j.yates@trumancorp.com with your address, I'd be more than happy to send you a copy of that cheat sheet that we just looked at. So they're kind of nice to remember to, when you're not always using the motorhome. There's so many, the trailer. There's so much equipment on there, it's hard to remember how everything works. So it's kind of nice to have that cheat sheet around. Just so you remember what each of the things mean. So the control panel, the little switch with the dial on it and the light in it, it tells us a few things on how it's operating. So if the LED light is on, the appliance is working. If the light is off, the appliance is switched to the off position. Now, if you see the light every 7 seconds is flashing, if you see the light is flashing, that means that it's in it, is being decalcified. If there's 3 flashes, 1 second on, 1 second off, the mode has been activated. Flashes quickly, the water system must be rinsed, and then the last one flashes 2 times briefly, then takes a break and flashes again. The system has a fault. Now that's the only way you can tell that the system is in fault. That switch is not going to tell you what the fault is. At that point, you're going to have to go down to the controller inside the unit, and on the right-hand side of the box, the controller with the switch is there. Underneath that switch, you'll see a little light, and that light will flash a code. So when you're looking at it, you want to look at short, long, in this case, short and long. That's how you identify the code, is by the short and long flashes. Then if you get that code put together, you can look into the book, and that will tell you the problem with the system. In this case, that code is telling us that the circulation pump does not see water flow. And this could be as simple as bypass valves are hooked up, or the water system has been disconnected on the unit. Even something as far as the unit has not been decalcification in a while, and is actually blocking up the flow inside the unit. So the codes tell us a lot. If you're calling in to our tech support with the unit having a problem, they will ask you for the code. You can try writing this down. One of the easiest things is just take a video with your phone. And you can send that video over to the service technicians, and they can count the code for you. So they're more than happy to do that. We just need to get that code so we can identify it, because that's the only way we're going to see it with this unit today. We have an easy drain lever to winterize the unit. As you all know, if you take the cover off the AquaGo, there's a little yellow lever there. First thing, before you grab that lever and open it up, make sure you take the water pressure off the system. So you want to open a faucet up inside the coach. Don't use that check valve at the top that has that little valve on it. We don't suggest using that to relieve the pressure because that has a safety feature in it. And if you start to open and close it, it could get debris in it, and then it would possibly leak. After some point in time, we have seen calcium build up in that spring, and then you open it and you close it, and it doesn't seal up completely. So whenever you're releasing pressure out the system, just use one of your valves up in the coach, one of your faucets. If you don't do that, when you pop the valve open, it sprays water all over the place and you get wet. So, do take the pressure off, and then just open the lever, and you can pull the filter out of it. You can see a picture of the filter there at the bottom. And then that lever is made to drain the water out past your trailer, so it doesn't have water dripping along the edge of your trailer and discoloring on the side of the trailer. When you take this filter out, we suggest rinsing it out in case there's calcium buildup on it, maybe sand, depending on what type of water quality you get into. There could be debris on it. We recommend just rinsing that filter off. And one thing nice about it, when you take it out, and if you want to leave your coach with that open, so you're not at it, and you don't want it to freeze, we don't suggest that you put that back in. What we suggest is that you just stick it right here. There's a kind of an opening right here by the gas valve. Just stick it in right there. That way you don't have to look for it when you get ready to use the AquaGo system. You can always take it upstairs, put it in a drawer. I don't know about you, but a lot of times I put things in drawers and then I can't find the drawer I put it in. So keeping it there with the unit is really nice. Then whenever you get ready to use it, just stick the filter back in, close the lever, pressurize the system. The biggest failure with the AquaGo system is not winterizing the system when it is getting cold. That is usually our biggest repair, is replacing frozen units because someone didn't take the filter out. So even if you open a low point drain someplace, if you don't take the filter out of the unit, it will freeze up that mixing vessel and you'll have to replace the unit. It's pretty easy to take out. And it could be one of the things of as you're hooking up, you just open the door, pull the filter out, put it inside it, and then put it back in when you get ready to use it. So winterization, as we were talking about, we recommend winterizing whenever you're not living in it and using the system as it's powered up. Now, if you're pulling your trailer, you really can't leave the system on, thinking that it's going to keep the AquaGo operating, because the wind will blow the pilot out, and then there will be no burner operation, and then the unit can actually freeze itself up while you're driving down the road. So if you're in any type of condition that the unit could freeze, I suggest you just open the lever, pull the filter out, close the lever, and then when you get ready at your new campsite, put the filter back in, close the lever, pressurize the system, and then you should be good to go.
So,
yes?
do you recommend doing that if you're driving in really cold conditions?
I recommend you do it when you're driving in cold conditions because, the air going along the outside of the trailer, it's just like a wind chill factor. And it could actually freeze that vessel pretty quickly because in the vessel, there's only about a liter of water, so it wouldn't take a lot to freeze that amount. Also, you know, we ran into replacing a bunch of these. When Florida got a freeze and Texas got that freeze a couple of years ago, we replaced hundreds of them because people didn't run out and winterize it and left the unit in the off position, or they weren't living in it at the time.
So you just put it in the off position, take the, flip the lever down and pull out the filter.
Right, the question was how to winterize it, and it was asking about turning it off. So you can turn it off at the unit with the switch, or just turn your switch off up inside the living area. Just turn that dial to the off position, and that will shut the unit off, and then open the lever, take the filter out, and it will drain itself. And at that point, I can guarantee you it's not going to freeze itself. Yes, sir.
Now, we got a thing, a Truma fitting that changes the filters to different filter. It's got a 12-volt heater in it that plugs in.
Now,
So
I was going to cover that in just a second, but I'm happy to do it now. We do make a filter that has a 12-volt electric element in it. For people that are, you have to be plugged into, your 12-volt system has to be operating, but that element will keep the unit from freezing also.
for driving in
For driving, if you don't want to open that drain valve, that drain lever and drain it out, you can actually use that, yes. It's about $300. I'm a cheapskate, so I would just rather lose that liter of water by opening the valve than trying to remember where that 12-volt filter is at. That element will not provide hot water. It'd have to be so big, there would be so much power drain on your batteries that your batteries would be dead in an hour or two. So really it's just to keep the unit from freezing. All right, another question over here? Yes?
Is it okay to leave that in all the time? Because I have the same thing, I have two. I just left that double thing for even the summer. Is that right?
So the question was, he has both filters, the regular filter that comes with it and the 12-volt electric element, and is it okay to leave it in there all the time? The answer is yes, you can. It won't hurt anything. So other than when you decalification the unit, you can leave it in all the time. It shouldn't hurt. Anything else so far?
Well, we went into Salt Lake City and an RV camp, and the lady asked if I had a pressure regulator on my water main.
Okay, so the question was, went to a park, the lady at the park asked if there was a pressure regulator on his trailer. And that's a great question because our system will default if there's too much pressure on the unit. So if you just plug into wherever and there's 65 PSI on the water system, then that would be too high for us.
She told me it was at 150 pounds.
Yeah, that ain't even below the pressure regulator on it. So we need to be down at 45 PSI to make good hot water and not cause any issues. So the higher the water pressure, the more volume of water that's coming out of your faucets, and at some point we won't keep up, and the unit will actually go into default and flash those lights up there, which is telling you, if you read the code, it would say too much water flow. So that's probably something to be aware of if you're getting into these parks that have that type of pressure. That would be even a little bit scary because I don't even think the manufacturer tests the water system at those type of pressures. So I think they test the water system around 100 PSI. Excellent. So we're going to talk about decalcification. Here's a picture of our heat exchanger, and the tubing going around it is where your domestic water runs through. We recommend decalification of the unit at least once a year. If you don't do it, you can see that white buildup inside the copper line. Water is not regulated across the United States, so you can get all types of different waters wherever low, and the system can actually plug itself up. You know, you have the white stuff coming out of your faucets. That is what we're trying to clean up. We recommend that you do it at least once a year. If you're in a lot of hard water areas where they're using water softeners, you might want to do it even more than that if you're using your trailer a lot. But if you do it once a year with your regular maintenance schedule, it should keep all those pipes clean, keep nice flow, keep all our high temperature sensors from intermittently tripping on you because the water flow is backing up. Now the system will tell us by flashing, we saw on that earlier picture, that it will flash telling you that the system needs to be decalification. That does it about 1,800 gallons, so it's actually measuring how much water you're using. And around 1,800 gallons, the system will tell you that it needs to be decalcified. But my recommendation is just do it once a year, and that should take care of it pretty easily for you. To decalification, you buy the tablets from Truma or one of our mobile service units. You take the filter out, so that's why you have to keep that other filter if you have an electric element filter, is for the decalification tabs. Now when you put them in, one of the tricks I learned when I was working in the service when they were training me is put the first 3 tablets in and then reach in with your finger and push them down because they just don't compress by themselves. So push the first 3 and then push the last 3 in, compress them, and then they'll stay in there when you try to put them inside the unit themselves. So after you get them into the filter, and you put the filter back on, it could be skip and skip here, yeah. So turn your aqua panel and water supply off, relieve the pressure, and then stack the decalcification tablets into the filter, put it back on, put it back in, switch the system to the back on, then turn your water system on in the coach, and then go up inside your trailer and turn your water faucets on. What we want to do is get all the air out of the water, so there's no air in the lines when it's trying to decal your system. So turn on, make sure there's no air sputtering out, and then at that time just turn your faucets off, leave the water pressure coming to your trailer, and then turn the little knob down to the clean mode. At that point, it will turn on its little pump inside the unit and circulate that the water through the water system and get all that calcification out of the unit. So when it's in the, is that flashing up there? Yeah, cool. So when you put it into the clean mode and start it, it will flash. It's a little bit expensive. And then you have to keep track of it. One thing nice, when you do purchase it, it comes with a bracket that screws inside the AquaGo system, and you can hang it right there so it stays with it so you can use your other filter. But it plugs right into our controller and you operate it with the switch. So that's been my presentation on the AquaGo. Is there any more questions on the AquaGo system? So we'll move on. Do have to talk about our Truma coolers, refrigerator units. We have seven different models. From our smallest, which is a single compartment, plugs into 110 or 12 volts. You can control the temperature from -8 degrees up to 50 degrees. So you can set it up as a freezer if you need extra freezer space, or just refrigerating to keep your water warm. Now, Truma mobile units, we have the RAM cargo vents, and this little weekender sits right in between the seats, and we have it plugged in so we can put our water and our lunch in it, so it's very convenient. We do make larger ones. When you get up to the large ones, there are multiple compartments, and you can set up one compartment as a freezer and one as a refrigerator, or both as refrigerator, both as freezer. So there's multiple uses for them. You can find them at Truma.net on our website to purchase them. I think they're very good units. The way they're made, you can stand on them. You don't have to worry about damaging them. So if there's no questions so far, I'll go ahead and talk about, I think what most of you are waiting for is the air conditioner unit. Yes, sir.
On those, mobile refrigerator units, are they, temperature dependent on your ambient temperature? Do they only work certain, degrees above and below the ambient temperature, or is it, a compressor based and actual thermostat inside?
Okay, so the question was, does the unit, is it dependent upon the temperature of the outside air? It is not. It has its own compressor. It has a temperature probe inside, so it really doesn't care whether it's freezing outside or whether it's 100 degrees. So the compressor is working on its own. And one of the nice things about it, it is insulated like those Yeti coolers. So if you turn the unit off and not open the lid, it loses about 1 degree an hour. So as long as you don't open it up, it's gonna keep it cold. One thing nice also about the 12 volt 110, the unit is smart enough to use what power is available. So both of them are plugged in, but your trailer is not plugged into a 110 outlet, it's going to go and use the 12 volt source. And then when it sees that there's 110, then it'll kick over. It's going to use the most efficient power source it has there. And then there's also a 12 volt limiter on it, so it's not going to run your batteries down. If you're plugged in, you walk away, it's going to drop out before the batteries completely fell on you. So, but great question. Anything else? Yes?
What are the costs on those?
The cost of those range, for the smallest one, it's about $1,000, and then they go up from there. And I know some of you are thinking $1,000, but if you look at those Yeti coolers, I mean, they're running $400 to $500 for the large ones, and they're not refrigerated, so you have to get them cold with ice or something like that, so you don't have the convenience of having an extra refrigerator or something like that. Well, we'll move on to our Aventa air conditioning unit, give you a little history on it. So the Aventa air conditioner has been out in Europe for several years. One thing about the way Europeans can't compare to ours is they'll jump into it, decide on a Friday afternoon they want to go camping, and they'll run up and go camping someplace overnight, over the weekend. But one of the things they demand is something that is not always prevalent here, is they're going off grid a lot of times. And they like the solitude, they don't want to hear things running, they're camping in little spots away from people, and so this is where the air conditioner is really coming into play. As I talk today, the air conditioner is very quiet, not only on the inside, but on the outside, so you're not hearing that noise on the outside. This has been German engineered. They tried to listen to all the comments of the air conditioners that are used out there today, and that's what they have come up with. Now, here it's just a new market. In Europe, the air conditioning unit has 90% of the RV market out there, so they wouldn't get to that. So does the AquaGo. They carry 90% of the market, so if it wasn't working, they wouldn't be selling it like that. So, it's innovative, it's smart configurability, maximize cooling performance, and minimizing noise, which we'll talk about in just a second. It's intelligent by balancing temperature and humidity. It's efficient by low energy consumption. It's reliable. It is German engineered, so they associated with, and then it's being refined. It has been modernized. They have lowered the profile. Some of those air conditioners out there are so tall they kind of look ugly on top of any unit that you have. So talking about size, you can see it's only 10.25 inches tall, where those regular, our competition out there is running at 13 and 14 inches. Ours is down at 10. We are a little bit longer because of our condenser in the unit, and we are a little bit wider. Some unique things to ours is we have manual switching, so you can go from low, medium, high. There's a night mode on it. There's an automatic cooling mode. There's also a dehumidification mode. So like being out here where the humidity's high, sometimes at night just getting the humidity out of the air is enough to keep your trailer cool and comfortable for sleeping. It also has just an air circulation mode that just circulates the air. And the unit is compatible with duct system and non-duct systems. We make two different models, a 13.5 and a 15. Now, Oliver is planning on using our model in some of their trailers, and they're using the 13.5. It is a 110 unit. There's no 12 volt on it. Power consumption on that 13.5 is 1,260 watts. One thing to know about this, that the air conditioning unit is just an air conditioning unit. It has no heat pumps in it, so you can't use it for heating. It's just straight air conditioning. The unit that Oliver's putting it in, they're using Truma's 3 products. They're using the AquaGo to provide hot water, and they're using our Vario heat to provide heat for the trailer, and then they're using the air conditioner on top. Power consumption, using the Eco on low is 9.4. Then on the high side, it's 10.5. So you can actually use this unit when you're boondocking. One of the things you would have to add if you're using just batteries, like the lithium batteries, you would have to add a soft start to get it started, because the peak pull on it would push it past the wattage of the batteries and wouldn't start. But if you use the soft start, you could actually use it on your batteries and the solar system to keep your batteries charged. And then you can see airflow on both the Eco and the Comfort. They're all the same airflow coming out of the vent. Size, which we talked about just a few minutes ago. The biggest thing is the height is just a little over 10 inches, and the weight of it is about 80 pounds. Yes, sir.
You said that it's wider and longer than, say, the air conditioners that are on the pneumatic air conditioners. Could you replace the pneumatic with one of these, or is the whole different?
So the question is, the unit is wider and longer. Can you replace it? One thing they did do is make sure the hole is a common hole with all the competitors out there. So our unit has the same hole dimension through the ceiling. We just need a larger space on the roof to accommodate the unit. Yes?
So if you were to replace the pneumatic you had, and there's a thermostat on the wall that works the heat system, and do you have to change out can you keep the other heating system, or do you have to change to yours, and do they change the thermostat?
Okay.
Are they all compatible?
So if I understand the question correctly, if they have a pneumatic on the roof, there's a control panel down inside the trailer that is also running the heat system also. Now, if you change the air conditioner unit out, would the heat system still work? Yes, it would still work off that panel, but we could not tie our air conditioner into that panel. But one thing nice about the air conditioning unit is it comes with a remote that you can actually use the remote and not have to run new wiring to make it operate. The remote itself will operate it. Yes?
The base, the exterior base, what type of composite material is that made from? I looked at the one down in the market.
Excellent. That was my next presentation here, is how do we quiet it down? And the first thing, as you noted, the base is made out of a foam. That foam, you know, when metal to metal is contacting, anytime something runs, it vibrates. So the first way to make it quiet is putting that foam in. That's a very tough foam. It's UV protected. Weather doesn't bother it. Like I say, they've been using this foam in Europe for years, so we know it's test proven. So that's the first way we quiet the unit down. The second one, if you can see, let me see if I can point it out. Right there is our compressor. Our compressor we put on springs, so if you open it up, you see that compressor is actually on springs. So we tried to eliminate the surface-to-surface contact, which our competitors have. So when that compressor is running, not only is it vibrating, but because of the stuff it's attached to, it's making all that vibrate, so that's making noise. We first started out, when we did our first proto, we put rubber boots underneath it, or rubber shims, and we still found that the noise level was transferring too high, so now we found that being on springs, that we eliminated a lot of the noise that the compressor vibrates through the unit. So that was one of the biggest. And then making it energy efficient, you can see our coil, that coil there, condensing coil is larger. And that is why the footprint of our unit is larger. So it was more efficient, can cool the unit down quicker and get to that comfortable temperature. We had to make that condenser coil larger. So that's why the footprint is larger. And then on the back, pretty much the same. Got the wrong button. So if you go back here, this is where our rear air is coming back in and getting recirculated. But we tried to eliminate all the points that would make noise. In fact, the compressor fan right here is a heavy-duty fan built on ball bearings. So it's ultra quiet when it's operating. So that's some of the things we did to make it quieter. And I'm running out of time, so I do apologize if you have to leave, I understand. But controls, so the control sensor temperature is on the diffuser on the roof. So this is what you would see inside the living area, and this is where it would blow out, kind of just like what all the rest of the air conditioners have if it doesn't have a ducted system. Now we have a remote that you can operate it, and it just goes through that sensor there, and that's where the temperature sensor is at. So that's how it measures the temperature inside the living area, yes.
Jim, it may not be a fair question to you, but you know on the new installs or on the land retrofits, you're going to be able to use the condenser drain through the RV, or is it going to run over the top?
So the question was, when it's retrofitted in, whether it's going to be able to retrofit into the controls of the unit itself.
The condenser drain,
I believe it does. I believe that's in the same location, but I'm not positive. I've not worked on a retrofit yet.
It utilizes the same condensate lines that we have with the existing unit.
So it looks like we have someone here that can answer that question. Thank you. Yes?
You mentioned a soft start. Does it come with one?
The question was, the unit needs a soft start if you're trying to use just the batteries, and if it comes with one, it does not, so you have to purchase that aftermarket.
And does that impact the warranty on the compressor?
It would not.
And is that part in writing?
I don't believe it is,
Okay.
but I can.
And what kind of compressor is it, and what refrigerant is it using?
I have to use my cheat sheet.
Good.
I couldn't tell you what type of compressor's in it, because I don't know. The refrigerator type is an R410A.
14A?
No, R10, 410.
Oh, 410, okay.
410A, standard. I believe that's standard what we use here. So the question was, what type of compressor did we use and what type of gas did we use in the system, which is the 410A. Okay? Yes, sir. Way back there in the back.
When it reaches the set point,
When the unit reaches the temperature set, does the fan shut off? Depending upon what mode you have it in, yes. Yes, the fan would shut completely off and go silent. We'll go right here first.
The control of the speed, are these motors controlled by different speeds of the motor themselves, or because there's a indoor fan, a condenser fan, and a compressor, or are those speeds controlled by a variable frequency drive?
So the question was, the fans on the unit, there's multiple modes on it. Does it regulate just one fan or all of them? I believe it regulates all of them through a multiprocessor, but I'm not 100% sure. But I believe it regulates them. That way we can keep the amp draw down. Because if we left some of them at the same level, we wouldn't be able to do much influence on amp draw. So, yes.
Do you have a decibel level on the inside?
I was gonna put the decibel level here on the slide, but it didn't show up very well when you projected it. But I do have one, and you can look at this if you come by and visit with me down at the pavilion. But yeah, when our system is on high, when it's trying to cool it down at first, it's running at 74 decibels. Now our competitors are running up around 85 to 90. So we have taken some noise out of it there. And then when you're in the low one, sorry, my arm's not long enough, is 62 decibels. So when you're in the low cooling mode, it is 62. Now it even gets lower when you put it in the night mode, and the fan is just kind of moving the air around. It gets even lower than that.
It's quiet. I heard this morning it's quiet.
Yes, sir.
We heard this morning as well, it's really quiet. My next question is, we understand the manufacturers, like our trailer builders in the industry, are going to get these air conditioners. When will they become available to the general public? And will Truma sell direct to the general public, or will we have to go for retail?
Okay, so the question was aftermarket sales of the air conditioning unit. They will be coming to the market. We had projected the first quarter of next year because of demand, but it seems like the demand has changed. We brought in a lot of coolers for the OEMs, and they're probably just getting chassis to put them on. So it's not a supplier issue from us, but they don't have a chassis, so now we're getting a backlog of product. So I'm thinking we are coming to the aftermarket. I'm being told we're coming to the aftermarket probably early the fourth quarter of this year. Now if we're putting them in, we're probably going to make arrangements with our OEMs, like Oliver. They'll be able to do it because they're familiar with the coaches and they're going to back their install. Now, privately, you won't be able to purchase it. It's just like our AquaGo. We do not sell our products to the general public. You have to be certified in installing them. Now, if you need it done in the field and Oliver's not available, Truma does employ 6 mobile techs across the United States, and I do happen to be one of them. We got one located down in Florida. We got one located in Texas, one located in Tennessee, one located in Arizona, and then I'm located in Colorado. So any one of us then at that point would be capable of doing it. Oh, and then at our main facility in Elkhart. So, does that answer your question? So, from Truma's side, if you join Truma's Facebook page, that's probably the first place you're going to see it from us. Maybe Oliver's Facebook page also, but that's probably the way you're going to see it. You are welcome to give us a call periodically. I'm thinking it's going to be toward the first part of the fourth quarter of this year. It might be a little sooner. I do know our 2 mobile units that have the most experience are spending the week in Elkhart, the last 2 weeks of May and the first week of June, and they're actually documenting how do a retrofit. So I do know that's on its way and coming along. Yes?
Is the compressor rotary or is it reciprocation compressor, or is it a rotary compressor?
I have no idea.
Okay, number 2 question, is a condensing fan motor, is it variable speed or constant velocity?
The condensing fan motor reacts to speed and it changes speed with the,
Yeah, well, the variable speed, you can control the head pressure because you're using 410A, which is a high pressure gas. And so by variable speed on your condensing fan motor, you can regulate that pressure where it takes the work off of the compressor, and that conserves energy. And that's my question, is that the rotary would be less energy, the reset is more efficient, but the head pressure control could reduce the amount of energy that the unit uses.
yeah, no, I don't have an answer to that question.
That's okay, not a problem.
You know, I can find it for you, so if you want to come by the booth and give me some contact information, I'll contact my engineering staff and share it with you, and then I'll also share it with Oliver if you don't know the answer yet either.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that way if you're on your group. Yes? So, let me get through these first 2 here. The question was, when you have multiple Truma units on the trailer, are they integrated to work together? And the answer to that question is yes, and that is the next slide after this one. So if you put a retrofit in today, you'll probably just use the remote control. So the remote control can do all the different stuff that you need to have done without having to rewire the trailer. Went the wrong way. Now, when they use multiple units, like they're looking at using the air conditioning unit, the AquaGo, and the Vario Heat, you'll go to our new CP Plus unit. And they will all plug into that, and that is one single controller. So does that answer the question that you were asking? Excellent. I had a question over here. Yes?
I was just wondering, how much can you sell unused dometic for?
How much can you sell and use the vendor
Let's
for?
do it by the gross.
Probably in this room, whatever you can get for it. No one has one to sell, so I don't know how you can sell one. So. But maybe I should be selling them up here instead of go to auction. There's a question back here.
What kind of warranty does Truma provide?
Okay, excellent. We didn't get to that yet. In fact, that's next. You should be doing this presentation, and I can just talk as we go through. So, AquaGo warranty, we advertise 1 year, and then when you turn in your registration, we add an additional year. Now, we're not sticklers there. You get a 2-year warranty with your products. The reason we're trying to get a warranty registration up is if we have a campaign going, like maybe to remind you to decalcification your unit, or like if you have an AquaGo already, if we do an email campaign saying we have the Aventa available, we have those emails that we can automatically bring up and send notifications out to you. So that's why we're trying to push for the units to get registered, is so we can share information with you. We've never had a recall, but for some reason, if something like that come up, this would be the only way we could reach you, is by having your email address to share that information with you. So that's why we requested. We always advertise 1 year, and then you turn in your registration. You get 2 years. You can easily do it online, so you don't even have any paperwork to send in. And all of our units have serial numbers on them. There's a tag there. The serial number's on the tag. When you call in to our service department, we're always going to be asking for the serial number. So if you know the serial number of the item, because we track failures for it, and if you call in multiple times, we'll have that in the system. That way if you say, well, my unit's been throwing this code every month, and I call you every month, as long as we keep logging that information, we have that to help you better. Question?
We have the Truma AquaGo and love it. It's been great. And we've had it over 3 years. so it's no longer in warranty. But I don't know that I'm registered. Can I just register that unit just for updates and what have you that may come along?
Okay, so the question was, he's had his unit over the 2-year warranty. He's had it 3 years. Has not registered it, and can he register it now? And the question for that is yes, you can. Because yes, we want to be able to send you information when we have it. Especially at shows that we might be at, that we might be at a rally or someplace in your area. You can easily come by and get tablets from us or get service or something. Anything else? Like I said.
I apologize.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't understand, you had the remote that controls the air conditioner, and then you showed something that connected to everything.
Right, I kind of got pushed for time there. What you're talking about is our CP Plus unit, and that's what you see right here. So all our units would connect to that, and you could operate it off one stream. So you wouldn't have a dial for the AquaGo. You could still have a remote for the air conditioner unit, then the event. Does that answer the question?
Oh, the new units come with that.
Yeah, the new units would come with that, so.
So us old ones don't have it. I'm just kidding.
The old ones would have just the dial. Now, you could have this put in, it would just take a little bit of wiring.
I just didn't, you skipped, I just didn't understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes?
The last screen you had before this one, you showed an app, Facebook or Apple or that one. Is it Apple App Store or Google Play? Does that mean that some of the functionalities, say like the remote control, might be able to use through an app on the phone, or what is the app for?
I don't know, I've never tried the app. Good question. I do think it has some functionality, but communicating with the unit, I don't think it does today, but it might. Yes?
So in connection with his question, you may not know this, but perhaps we could find out at some point. If you're not at the trailer, can you trigger the air to come on, or can you sense temperature or anything? So, you got a pet in the trailer when you're up at the grocery store?
So, if I understand the question correctly, you're thinking that if you have a download of the Truma app and you're away from your vehicle, if you can operate the air conditioner unit? Possibly, I don't know for sure. The biggest thing is that your unit has to be hooked up to Wi-Fi, because it's not going to be able just to communicate with a cell phone signal.
Yeah, okay, so that was what I was trying to figure out, is what's the app really for, but we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it's for, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
And I do apologize for that, I should know. So, any other questions? Well, thank you